fact of the matter is that relatively small actors on the global stage are punching above their weight.
Well, I mean, I think when I spoke to my senior leadership, I know that we asked the hard questions. How would you pay? Are you ready to do this? What would it look like if you had to do it? And of course, everything in business is weighed against the loss, right? How much am I losing every day that I'm not running and up and running? We have very, very tight production requirements, quota requirements that are daily. So that being interrupted, that being impacted, there's a dollar value associated with that. But on the opposite side, can we recover? How far can we actually roll back? And then, the contingency, what happens when we pay and we don't get unlocked? What if this gets more advanced and they brick the hardware to where I have to replace the hardware? What's the timeline look like to fix that? I mean, really looking at the logistical things. I mean, right now, you try to order a laptop, it could take you a couple of months. Imagine trying to order a whole rack of servers. That might take you a while. These are all things to start thinking about and getting them thinking about in that direction. If you're not revamping or looking at your disaster recovery, you're definitely on the wrong track.
I would certainly encourage my leadership not to pay should we be subject or a victim of one of these attacks. And certainly that's been my guidance to these guys in the past. You have to understand, as the executive order kind of promotes, that you're funding terrorism, you're funding cybercrime. And if they hit you once, they'll come back to you. They have no reason not to. The other aspect of that is you have no guarantee that what they provide to you will work, right? They don't necessarily make it easy to recover from their ransomware. They certainly will lie and tell you that it will be easy. But with the sheer scale of what you get hit and how deep they got, you have no guarantee there's more backdoors, that they're not just going to sell your data or access. There's been this relatively recent advent of double extortion, where they don't just disrupt your business and encrypt your systems. They steal your data and then they turn around and threaten to release it. So that you have, further incentive to pay them. And then if you choose to, hold the line and say you're not even going to pay them, then they'll turn around and go, okay, we're just going to go right after your patients. It's a triple extortion kind of advent. They certainly have not exhibited the kind of empathy you would expect. When we needed healthcare the most through this pandemic, it was never under so much attack as ransomware was evidencing. There was a 600% increase in these kind of attacks through the pandemic. It was tough. And healthcare, as I mentioned earlier, runs lean. To Chris's point around ransomware itself, they have no reason to stop. They're acting with impunity. They're continuing to evidence that they're making money. They're laundering. The profits are very, very lucrative. The sheer fact of the matter is that relatively small actors on the global stage are punching above their weight. I mean, we can turn around and say that's due to, Snowden or the NSA leaks or things of that nature, but it doesn't matter. It certainly does appear that ransomware is an evidence of some kind of international cyber warfare. There's no Geneva Convention indicating that actors or industries like healthcare are not being subject to some of these attacks. It's going to continue, but ransomware is certainly a thing. They're still also doing their standard bread and butter, where they're making money from business email compromise, vendor email compromise. Perhaps one recent change in attack technique is now they're going after our supply chain, right? So they're not necessarily coming in through the front door. Hopefully you've taken the keys out of the lock, but now they're coming in through your contractors, your supply chain, the people that you have placed trust in. Certainly, if you look at Kaseya, certainly if you look at SolarWinds, certainly look at managed security service attacks against FireEye and others, and indeed Microsoft. They're continuing to escalate their attacks. They're continuing to make money, and we're caught in between, trying to do our best to meet the needs of our customers, our clinicians, our doctors that have the ability to help patients. But by the same measure, we're trying to justify the expense to try and keep out the bad guys. It's a tough line to walk, and I don't see any end in sight.